Do you want to know what it takes to be an entrepreneur in 2024? Talk On to Walk On is proud to introduce you to a podcast series in partnership with Baltic Ventures. Baltic Ventures is a Liverpool-based flagship tech business accelerator in which Patrick and I are angel investors. Regular listeners to our Talk On to Walk On podcast will know about both of our business backgrounds, ranging from working with large corporates to startups across multiple sectors. Based on our passion for business, we're calling this series Startup Stories. We're starting the series by showcasing a selection of the Baltic Ventures business founders, demonstrating why they were chosen out of over 200 applicants to join the very first Baltic Ventures 2023-24 cohort. As a result of their selection, they were each awarded 50,000 equity investment to turbocharge their business growth. Each founder guest has their own unique story with many businesses and life lessons to share. In these first 3 episodes, you'll be hearing from Dr Sam Impey from Hexis, developers of technology allowing athletes to predict and personalise their nutritional needs. Kate Longworth from Gaia Learning, a global online school that supports neurodiverse children through personalised education. And Thomas Farquhar from Hetio, a clean tech startup that manages energy use in your home to cut your bills and carbon footprint.
Food has a massive impact on our body. Like, we literally are what we eat, right? That can actually help them to get fitter faster. You can get more out of the same training session by changing the food that you eat. From a perseverance perspective, like I have like moderate level dyslexia. I'm not too bad, but reading and writing, I was terrible. I really wasn't that great at school, which is ironic for someone with a PhD, I think.
So what we do at Gaia is we take online specialist education to the schools, and we say to the school, okay, so if you've got a child who is struggling in the classroom, and straight away the Senko or the head teacher goes, yep, I can name you 15% of my 950 school cohort. You know, what do you do when your child is at the school gate, physically clinging on to and refusing to walk down that path of doom, as my poppy calls it, down towards reception?
We're actually trying to narrow that fuel poverty gap as much as possible. So that's why we're covering different parts of the journey. We want to take people on that journey. My first advice to a single founder would be go and get a co-founder. Go give away half the business to someone, because you're never going to have all the skills anyway. Horror show of having a bootstrap business, which is what it is. You know, it's terrifying because it was the only thing we knew. We didn't realize that wasn't the only way you have a business.
These are seriously impressive and ambitious companies. So we are delighted to be sharing with you a conversational insight into the mindset of these entrepreneurs and how the power of conversation and community created at Baltic Ventures has boosted their growth by giving them the courage and confidence to walk on towards their dreams. If you love what you hear and want to learn more about becoming an investor or applying for the next Baltic Ventures cohort, go to balticventures.uk. If you want to learn more or connect with any of the brilliant businesses featured in this series, all details are in the show notes. We're proud to be playing a small part in the journey of these fabulous founders. So let's talk on to walk on with Sam, Kate and Tom in these first 3 episodes, and let's see where it leads. Sam, welcome to Talk On to Walk On. You are our first in our collaboration with Baltic Ventures in terms of the podcast. Obviously, Patrick and I are investors in Baltic Ventures, but this is another step forward in terms of promoting the fantastic founders in the first cohort. And the aim of the podcast really is to get to know, obviously, you and your business and do a bit of promotion around that, but actually to get under the boot a little bit, get under the bonnet, I should say, with a view to getting to know you as a startup founder and what all that involves, and you as a person as well, Sam, of course.
Well, it's great to be on, and obviously, kind of thank you to you guys for being part of the setup of Baltic.
You're very welcome. It's really exciting, actually. So, and we're really excited to be doing this as well, because we think it's really important to have these conversations to help get you guys out there and promoted to the world, but also not only to promote Hexis, which I'm about to ask you about, but actually to tell the real story about what it takes to start up and grow a business and become an entrepreneur. So we will obviously begin with Hexis itself.
Sure.
Tell us as briefly as you can why Hexis is so fabulous.
Sure. So Hexis provides unique and personalized nutrition recommendations day to day, depending on everyone's workout, lifestyle, and goals. We all train, or hopefully we all train, as a good place to start, keep our bodies and minds fit and healthy. But the exercise that we all do is very, very different. You know, two people doing the same class could have two very different experiences, right? And so that means that if we want to provide proper fueling and proper nutrition, then we actually need to use as much information, as much kind of particularly digital information as we can get to refine that process. And that's what we did with Hexis. So we have an AI-powered algorithm, which generates a unique fueling recommendations day to day for every person. Again, and is, you know, life changes. And so, you know, your fueling plan needs to be able to change with your, you know, with your life as well. So if you were going to exercise in the morning and you actually, you know, for whatever reason couldn't get out of bed, or you know, one of the kids wasn't well and, you know, you had to couldn't get your session done in the morning, just change it and Hexis will update your fuel plan, you know, accordingly. So yeah, just really trying to I guess bring nutrition into the modern era. I think it's probably been a pen and paper industry for too long. And David, you know, the other nutritionist and the other co-founders at Hexis, we were passionate about trying to solve problems that we'd lived as, you know, as practitioners, kind of working in elite sport for 10 plus years, David and myself. So that's what brought us to Hexis.
Fantastic.
That's absolutely fascinating, because my knowledge of sort of exercise and sports and so on is that when you talk about coaches are great at coming up with training plans. But of course, nutrition is so important. It's such an important part of your health and your fitness. So to be able to combine that and come up with a nutrition plan, and as you say, moving the industry from a pen and paper industry into something involving AI and so on. Interesting that looking back at your so your past and your credentials, let's say, you've am I right in saying you start in sports science, you then had sports physiology,
Yes.
an MSc in sports physiology, you then moved into human nutrition.
Yes.
Where was it that it all started in terms of then you thinking to yourself, I can commercialize this, there's a gap, this is needed, and so on? How did it all sort of start?
Yeah, it was so it was kind of around late 2017, early 2018. I was working at a university, doing some research, and I was also supporting a British-based cycling team as a nutritionist. And part of my PhD, so we use a red, amber, and green traffic light system in Hexis to visually give a quick identifier as to whether something should be higher in carbohydrate, being green, and higher in energy, or lower in carbohydrate and lower in energy, being red. And that was essentially kind of what my PhD was on. So I did some research looking at how your body's response to exercise changes depending on what and when you eat. And so I was doing these manual plans for these cyclists in the UK. Some were racing in Europe, and I just realized I was spending so much time behind a laptop, and not being available to jump on calls with the riders, to go to be at the races, to coach them, to nutritionally coach them, as opposed to training wise coach them. And I thought, just based on what I had seen, certainly the advancements in technology that had been coming out around that time, I thought there must be a solution to this. So actually had a friend help me build a very rudimentary Excel sheet, kind of if and but statements, and you could put in some very basic metrics, and the colors on the Excel sheet would change. Very simple, but kind of proved the concept. And I knew David Dunne, one of the other co-founders, who's the other nutritionist in the team. I knew that his PhD and what he was interested in was how you use digital interventions to create behavior change. Again, I came at nutrition and physiology, and he kind of came at behavior change and technology. So I thought, oh well, I'll ask David's opinion, and jumped on a Zoom call. And yeah, I showed him my Excel sheet, and his face dropped, bless him, because he turns out he'd been working on the exact same project for about a year. He was actually kind of further down the line than I was, and was already involved in an accelerator program down in London called Conception X. And he was like, right, okay.
Love it. You know, now that is a powerful conversation, as you know. Our podcast is based around taking that step and talk on to walk on. You know, pick up the phone, make the call, ask somebody who's potentially your competition. I mean, I don't know whether you viewed him as that, but he perhaps initially viewed you as that when he saw what you'd come up with. But then you've ended up collaborating and gone into business together as co-founders.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, David and I were good friends beforehand. You know, and I sort of valued his opinion. He thinks very differently to me, which I think is why we work well. And so was a good person to have that kind of, you know, that conversation that could have been challenging. It could have been rewarding, you know, but the right person to have the conversation with. And, you know, he kind of was like, look, you know, if you want to carry on, great. Let me know what we can do to help. Otherwise, if you want to join forces, then, you know, we can do that. And yeah, that's how we kind of came together, and have been going pretty strong ever since.
Definitely pretty strong, isn't it? The last thing I sort of read was about your training the British cycling team for the Olympics. Is that right?
I've been working. I've been kind of helping them out. They had their lead nutritionist was away on maternity cover, and so they were looking for some support for the last year. So I've been helping them out, with helping them prep for that. So which has been great. I'm hoping that Georgina is quite keen to get Hexis in and use it with the athletes here. So we're hoping we can make that work. Hopefully to support them into Paris as well.
Oh, that'd be fantastic, and what a great opportunity to have the Paris 2024 Olympics as a test bed for Hexis, real life, real team literally going for gold, and you know you want to be part of that, and you will be part of it.
Exactly. Yeah, we hope so, and you know we hope it's going to be a good fit, and you know I think the thing that sort of a lot of people, when they look at Hexis just as a product from a sort of B to C perspective, so as a consumer just buying it, you know, they see that app facing, consumer facing app and the things that it does and how it interacts with their workouts and that kind of stuff. But a really kind of probably an unappreciated value until you're in the nutrition industry is actually, you know, you can tie, I think we can tie up to 250 app licenses to a coach's screen. So the reason that the number of professional teams that have already bought out Hexis, the reason that they buy it is actually it allows their nutritionists to, you know, I think back to my case, and as I say, we were over in Spain a couple of weeks ago meeting with 2 cycling teams, and actually I was chatting to one of their nutritionists this afternoon who is using our platform to help co-create nutrition recommendations for 6 riders that they have riding in the UAE at the moment. So the tour of the UAE is on. And so she is deploying, you know, nutrition advice and leveraging the technology that Hexis has built, to help her riders out in the UAE while she's based in Belgium. And they've got another training camp going on somewhere in Italy. So it's that ability to kind of, scale time and also scale service geographically that sits behind that kind of, front facing component, which is really, really, that's the kind of really powerful piece that isn't always immediately obvious, if that makes sense. But again, kind of came about because we talked to a lot of the people in the industry and presented at a big nutrition conference in December. And so many people came and were just like, I need this. Oh my God, how do I get it? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that I would urge anyone who's listening to this or watching this to go onto your website, because and it's Hexis.live.
That's it. Yes.
Is that correct? Because on there, you do get a snapshot of what it's all about, if I've interpreted this correctly, because you've got your coaching hub and the athlete app. And what I hadn't appreciated was what you were just saying is you could have a single coach who has a number of athletes who would, I guess, all be individually using the app, and it would all be coming up into the coaching hub.
Correct. Precisely. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Great way of doing it. I'm looking forward to watching the UAE tour, by the way. We mustn't timestamp this episode too much, but you're right. It's absolutely
sorry. Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to come on to your passion, Sam, because you're clearly, I mean, there's many ingredients that make up a successful entrepreneur, and passion is clearly one of those. And you have that in spades, because I can see that you could talk about this
for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. But actually, it's the simplicity of it. Basically, you're freeing up, from my layman's interpretation, the coach's time, valuable time, to focus on all other elements of coaching, and the nutrition element and that matching with that coaching program is dealt with by Hexis. Is that the basic interpretation? Is that the key? Is that the problem that you solve?
That's one of the key problems that we solve. Yeah. I think the other piece, which is and that's been our kind of that's the easiest way to convey the message of what we're doing. The other thing that we're trying to do is actually to sort of I don't really like, I'm not sure if disruption is the right word. Like you hear it banded around a lot. I'm not entirely convinced if it's semantically the right thing for it. But what we're actually trying to do is to highlight to people that, and this is where it can get very scientific, and I can literally talk about it and have done for hours on end to poor university students where I've had to go and lecture them. What we're trying to do is to demonstrate to people that actually by letting AI and letting computers do the things that they're good at, right? So create a bespoke and personalized plan for each individual athlete and then periodize it. And what that means is changing what and where certain amounts of calories and macronutrients are in the day, depending on the workout that someone is doing. That can actually help them to get fitter faster. You can get more out of the same training session by changing the food that you eat. Wow. Like the food has a massive impact on our body. Like we literally are what we eat, right? And so if you think about the interaction with all the other systems in your body, it's all fueled by food. And food acts as a signaling mechanism. It acts as in all sorts of ways across our body. And so actually what my kind of PhD and others around the world who are working in a similar field found is that there really is a way that you can optimize the adaptation that you get from your body from a training session by changing what and when you eat. And now this is kind of, it's started to seep through from, I think in medicine, they talk about it as bench to bedside, right? Yes. And it started to kind of translate from research labs as it was and where it was kind of in the late 2010s. You're starting to see that applied more and more in professional sport, in football, in cycling, a little bit in rugby as well. Triathlon, but it's at the moment it's at the really kind of elite level is the only place that you really see it. And so what we're actually trying to do at Hexis is to move the needle on that as an idea conceptually, and we really want to be able to kind of upskill the elite coaches, but also the coach who works in a local gym or a local triathlon or cycling coach, just to really help them see and feel the power of we call it carb coding. So periodizing, changing what and when you eat, really seeing the value and the power of that, and just, helping them to move move people to performances that and physiological responses that they didn't think were possible.
It's incredible and it's really exciting. You can, as you're talking, you can visualize it happening, and I think that's. But in terms of your unique selling point, though, Sam, it is that academia, which could potentially hold you back as an entrepreneur, and I'll come on to that next. And but for you, I think you've got that magic ingredient of both. I don't know David's as well, but you both presented to us and at the very beginning of Baltic, and straight away we were like, yes, because you had the passion, you had the knowledge, the expertise, and you get tick, 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 tick. What we didn't know at that point was whether you had that magic ingredient that to be able to pull it all together, of the risk taking, the multiple hats of running a business. That it's very different to the academic world, or is it? Maybe you might correct me. So I was going to ask you about that, and whether or not, is the academia still your research? Is that still your comfort zone, or are you actually enjoying the sort of entrepreneurial risk-taking element of starting and growing a business?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and probably not a question I don't think that is maybe asked or discussed enough. I would say so. Research and academia is where I'm most comfortable. I spent 10 years doing it, prior to going to kind of work in elite sports. So I feel very happy talking about the statistical approach on certain research papers. And, when everyone else is falling asleep, I'm there kind of bright-eyed and quite happy to take notes. So, I think it's still inherently comfortable with that. But the thing I enjoy most about operating in a business is that for the first time in quite a while, my rate of learning kind of went from that to that.
Yeah.
As you say, because you have to just solve problems. You have to just get on and learn how to figure stuff out. I think there's known unknowns and unknown unknowns. And it's the unknown unknowns that kind of creep up on you, and you go, "Oh, right, we've got to solve this." I didn't know that was a problem until this morning. And there's the known unknowns where you're like, "All right, I can go away and do a bit of reading and try and get ahead of that," if that makes sense. So, and it's that I think that I really enjoy that. I hope I'm going to be a lifelong learner. It can sustain neuroplasticity, for example. So it's actually good for you to be a lifelong learner. There you
100%. You're looking at them here. Honestly, we challenge on. That's the reason why we're doing what we're doing. When sometimes we say, "What the hell are we doing? Why don't we just do some gardening, Michelle?" No. Yeah. Challenge. It become addictive. But perseverance is definitely the key to success, combined with that passion and knowledge and everything that you've said. Is there something in your history that sort of, is there somebody that you've spoken to along the way? Is there anyone that's particularly inspired you in terms of business and why you are where you are today?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I actually don't. I was kind of reflecting on this the other day. I think, I take quite a lot of inspiration, I think, from my mum. My dad passed away when I was 4, so quite young. And so mum brought me up as a single working mum. And, but, I was never aware that I was any different to any other kids. I had loads of, I had a incredibly fortunate upbringing, and that we were able to travel and do all these great things. And I think it's only when you get a little bit older that you realize how difficult that is to do for a single mum who was also working. And it's only when I'm kind of my wife and I are expecting our first child soon, and not to timestamp. Thank you. But yeah, it's reflecting on that, and then I go, wow, that must have been tough. And I think by just process of osmosis, that kind of that kind of drive to get up and go and do stuff and learn and go try different things and be in different places, I think it is probably something that I picked up probably from her. I mean, from a perseverance perspective, like I have like moderate level dyslexia. I'm not too bad, but reading and writing, I was terrible. I really wasn't that great at school, which is ironic for someone with a PhD, I think.
And also, can I use another word, inspirational, as well as
which is great. And but it does things like when I came to uni, and I got went to see an educational psychiatrist. They make an assessment of your additional needs to balance out, if you need anything to support you through the university, which was, fantastic thing that you can do. And one of the really cool things is that they make quite a detailed assessment of how because people do, so you can do an IQ test, right? But IQ works in different ways. And so whilst I don't have great like reading skills or spelling skills, for example, but my ability to link patterns together and my verbal IQ is actually quite high. So whilst I was limited in more obvious skills, what I was able to do is kind of flourish in other areas. So kind of, as I say, being creative and linking patterns together, for example, is something that comes very, very naturally to me. And so, yeah, like it's quite funny. Katie, my wife, I go, so I've been thinking, and she goes, oh God, what's going to so, and sometimes it's absolute garbage, but sometimes it's quite good. So I think there's bits that you kind of take, indirectly and directly from your past that bring you to where you are.
So that sort of learning element, and clearly through your BSc or MSc and your PhD, you are somebody who has, as you've just sort of intimated, have a thirst for knowledge. You're sort of probably innately curious. So that brings us quite neatly onto Baltic Ventures, because I guess that was a massive learning opportunity for you, and I hope that you've managed to get a lot out of it. So yeah. You're part of the successful 2023 cohort, and that program, I think, has formally now come to an end. Albeit, we're all watching you now take off and so on. But give me a couple of things that particularly that you got out of the tech accelerator that is Baltic Ventures, and your ability to almost swim in the same ecosystem as some of the other founders.
Yeah, I mean, the most, I guess the two most obvious pieces, the two most obvious things that come to mind immediately when I think about that is the coaches and the network of people who are involved in Baltic. So the people who are on hand to kind of, you get allocated a coach or a couple of coaches relative to your business. And the network of people in there were incredible, really genuinely amazing. And in a short period of time, really helped move Hexis on and focus our business in some areas that, some of those unknowns that we couldn't see the blind spots, and really helped us just to go, let's take a deep dive. What do you need? How do we do that? What should you focus on? Let's make a plan. Just really valuable things that take time and expertise, and that you certainly aren't going to get for free. If you were just a business looking to get that kind of resource, but also, as you said, just to be in a network of other founders at similar stages, in incredibly different businesses and with different backgrounds and different skill sets. And when we came together in the workshops, and we'd all look at the same, you're all thinking about the same, fundamental problem, whether it's a problem or, challenge, whatever it is, marketing or brand positioning or, X, Y, Z. And it was super, super enjoyable to just be in that room and kind of feel and live the energy every Monday afternoon, as we did for those weeks. And, Baltic obviously took us to Slush in Helsinki, as well as putting on a couple of fantastic kind of days in Liverpool and London to promote the businesses. And, we had the pitch day kind of right towards the end, and 350 people officially, although it's definitely more than that, in the audience, and just seeing and hearing the other founders pitch. And you just kind of look at how far everyone had come, and it was just, it was amazing to think that all that had been achieved in such a short period of time, being at 3 months, 3 and a bit months. So it was an incredible experience. So really, really good. Can't recommend it highly enough.
And will you stay in touch with some of the other founders? Have you forged some quite close sort of friendships?
Yeah, we actually have a founders catch-up call on Friday of this week. So there's kind of some regular ones in there. We've got a WhatsApp group from our from our cohort there as well. So we're still in the Slack channel at the moment, but I 100% will. So certainly got them all on LinkedIn and stuff. So it's great to see the business stuff kind of going there as well. But I've already thought a few times, and I've already kind of sort of linked people in where I've gone peripherally. I've been like, oh yeah, it might be interesting for you to meet so and so, and which just I didn't know anybody in the online learning space prior to going to Baltic. I didn't know anyone that works in heat pumps and heating people's houses, or the secondary fashion market, or
But what I'm sure is interesting and perhaps would have been reassuring for you is, I mean, obviously they say being an entrepreneur or the leader of a business can be quite a lonely place, and it's that power of connection and community, isn't it? And hearing that other people are having similar pains as you, regardless of the nature of their business. Business problems tend to be very similar.
Yeah, they do.
Regardless of, like you said, whether it's a heating business, a nutritional AI app, personalized app for athletes, whether it whatever it is, the problems tend to be very similar. And there's always, if you're in a great community of collaborators and people willing to be open and be honest about failings and learnings, then you can take so much reassurance from that in those moments, I guess, when you're feeling stuck or you're feeling like, everyone has a shit day when they're building a business, more than perhaps the good days sometimes. And it can be so tempting to just go, do you know what? I'm off. But when you're in that community and, like you said, of openness and honesty, you can all learn from each other regardless of the nature of the business. And that's what I think is fascinating and so good about Baltic Ventures. And anyone who's in their own business needs to potentially really look at getting involved in a community of fellow business owners.
100%. I mean, you're 100% right. But also, like, when you go to have it's that thing of when you go to have a conversation with someone about those problems, because they get it and they live it and they feel it. The pace at which you can have that conversation is it's at the same pace that you're thinking about it, and it's so freeing and liberating. It's like talking to someone that knows the depths of your business, even though they don't. Just it's the reflection that they're seeing on, it's the same side. It's a different side of the same coin. Excuse me. So, and it's that feeling is quite unique, actually. I must say, getting in and talking to coaches, talking to founders, but they get it. Either they've been through it or they're going through the same process at the moment. And it just makes for an amazing community to share problems, but share wins as well. Some of the best bits were, kind of people would, put in their successes in the WhatsApp group that we had. And it was, genuinely being like so happy for people, whether it was a big grant win or just a small contract, and everyone would celebrate those things, but equally, when stuff went wrong, but we learned from it. Again, celebrate those things, and it's a fantastic community to do that in.
I love the idea that you celebrate wins, and I'm a big advocate of that. But did you ever have a moment, whether before or in Baltic, where you just thought, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what the hell I'm doing? Did you ever have that moment?
About 3 times a day, yeah.
Love it.
There is, there's like, people, contractors come and do work for you, and then you're like, would be great to see if we can keep them. The work they're doing so good, but they're contractors, they want to go and do something else, and then you kind of like, or you go and you invest some time in a team. Sorry, when I say team, I mean, in my context, professional sports team. You build relationships, multiple relationships across the organization, and for whatever reason, the direction of the club changes, they get a new manager or something like that. And so you lose out on a big deal. And those things happen. That's that's part of being in, I think that's part of being in business. And I'm very much
very much a mindset, isn't it? Where you've just got to go, exactly what you said, these things happen. It's potentially a redirection. There's a reason why this hasn't happened. We go again.
Yeah, exactly. What do you learn from it, and how do you move forward? So you learn a lot more from failure than you do from success. So celebrate the failures, I think.
I love that. Patrick?
You know, I was just going to pick up on something you said earlier, Sam, about the how powerful coaching and mentoring was. Michelle's a certified life coach, and I do. She does mentoring as well, but and I can't say I'm a coach. I'm not a certified qualified life coach, but I do a lot of mentoring as well. And one of the things about Baltic Ventures that astounded me is that if you go on their website, I think there are upwards of 90 people that have registered to give up their time to provide mentoring and coaching. And that combination, a lot of people still get confused as to the difference between coaching and mentoring. But your example there is, amongst those people, there's bound to be one or more who've been faced with the same problem that you're asking them about. And that's the great thing about mentoring. It's about all those years of combined experience. And I love the word ecosystem. When I first thought, it's an ecosystem, I thought it was a bit sort of a cliche, bit of a throwaway, but it really is an ecosystem of individuals who collectively can provide so much information and knowledge. And similarly on the coaching side, Michelle has taught me that the adage of a coach is that all the answers are within you, and it's the job of the coach to tease those out with probing questions. And again, what a great thing to have at your fingertips, to be able to tap into the coaching that's offered at Baltic Ventures. I can imagine that is one of the most sort of valuable takeaways that the founders have taken away from being part of that cohort.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny because I do this when I'm doing or when I used to do nutrition consultations with an athlete. And a good coach will never give you the answer. They'll just ask you a question back. What do you think?
Incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, it is absolutely infuriating until afterwards, when you have that aha moment and you're like, oh yeah.
It's really empowering. The key, and that's why I did the certification, actually, to teach myself to sit on my hands, because I was always trying to. My instinct is, I'm actually a qualified lawyer, so the other instinct is for me to solve everything and fix the problem and find the solution and predict the outcome. And I was like, I have to just. It's a whole new way of looking at life, both personally and for the client. But it is true. It's far more empowering if you find the answer yourself. You're much more likely to act on it than somebody telling you what to do. It's really interesting psychology.
Which is where I think, Patrick, to your point around the value of the coaching and mentoring, is that, it wasn't, when I mentioned around the areas of focus, they weren't given to us. It was the coaches helped us identify them on our own. And kind of help to kind of I don't think course correct's the right word, but just help to kind of help us figure out what we needed to do for our business. The value of that but also the value of that, I guess, is really that if you formulate your own opinion with the help of a coach or a mentor, the clarity in which you have to move forward with that longer term is significantly better established than if someone goes, this is what you should do, and you go, all right. There's that just a really simple fundamental element of coaching component in a business context, which, as you say, with the 90 odd people who are potentially available to tap into there, someone will have the resource and the skill or the experience to help you with the problem that you've got, for sure.
And again, in entrepreneurship, focusing is really important, because again, we tend to be people who have got a million ideas, and we can go off in a million directions each and every day. But staying focused is often really, really difficult, but so crucial.
Yeah.
So even if you just move one thing forward a day, it's a move forward. But if you're going off in all different directions and moving nothing forward, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. We quite often talk about the difference between speed and velocity. Yeah. So speed is just speed is fast, right? But velocity has a vector. So you could be in a business and everything could be at high speed, but if you're all going in different directions, then that's kind of irrelevant. So we try to reflect on the difference between having speed and velocity. And again, good coaching can quite often help you shift from having speed to having velocity and all being heading in the same direction.
I love how you've managed to combine entrepreneurship and academia all in one there. It's great. Coming full circle back to your unique selling
100%.
point, Sam. I absolutely love that. Patrick, are you happy to move on to the sort of the future with Sam and what that future looks like?
Yeah. So Sam, just very quickly, tell us where Hexis is right now, and where it's then where you're going to take the business.
Sure. So we are closing a seed funding round. We're going to close it in 8 days' time. Which is great. That's going to give us runway then to finish kind of expanding our product range through 2024. We're focusing a lot on selling to elite teams and kind of high end. We use the term influencers. That's not the social media context of influencer. We actually need to go back and do some work on our wording, I think. But the kind of coaches who work with a very high level of athlete, either independently or part of national governing bodies. We're going to lean into that kind of business, generate a kind of global base of revenue streams through 2024, and again leverage that to kind of then move into a direct to consumer or move more into direct to consumer in 2025. So that's the kind of very quick high level overview. We've kind of released our athlete app and the coach's desktop. And again, there's actually a roadmap on our website, so you can see what is coming, what's in final testing and what's in preparation. So please jump on there and have a look.
It must keep you accountable. I love the fact you've done that.
100%. I think it's called operational transparency. So it keeps us accountable, and people can make suggestions there as well, which is great. So execute on our roadmap, continue to build and improve the product. Lean in to support the elite teams globally that we're looking to do. We're also going to be the app. Currently, we've been holding off on releasing into North America, but we're going to do that in Q2 of this year. So again, a quite sort of strategic launch into North America as well. And again, just look to expand the reach of the business with very high performing athletes, and then leverage that to move into a much more scalable, significantly more scalable direct to consumer play in 2025.
Wow, I'm like blown away. I mean, I'm not surprised by any of this, but I'm actually hearing you say it and with such certainty. And this is going to happen. This isn't ifs and buts. This is going to happen. I can hear it in your tone, and it's great.
Yeah, and I think look, a big part of that has come from getting that focus, which the coaches at Baltic help give us. So have a plan. We know how we're going to get there. We're just excited to get out and execute it. Cannot wait to finish fundraising and just go and build good tech and get out, send our marketing and videographer guys out to record content with the teams that we support. We've got an amazing mini documentary coming out on our YouTube channel, a little 5-minute mini doc on how one of the first cycling teams has been using the app. We captured that down in Calpe in Spain. Super excited to release that. The videographer sent me an edit of it yesterday, and I was like, yes, get it out.
What I love about that, it really brings it all to life and brings it all together. It'll be one of the, like, you've just gone, yes, it's that moment where you go, this is it. And it, also you can just direct people to it as well. And people love stories, don't they? And that's what people buy into. They 100%. Buy into the story and seeing it happen. I love that.
From a very selfish point of view, I'm just disappointed I've got to wait 2 years to get the consumer product. But
you can jump online and download it now, Patrick. It's good to go, but we're not leaning that way from where we're deploying.
So the athlete app
and that kind of stuff. The athlete app is on the Apple Play Store now.
£9.99 a month. Is that right?
Yep.
There you go. A sniff. I was going to say, I turn 60 in 2 years' time, and so if I've got aspirations to be an age group athlete, maybe that's when I should start using the app, and it'll tell me what to eat and when. And
well, I would suggest start doing it now and get 2 years in the bank. Just to suggest.
Good selling there. Good selling.
You know now you've got to buy it, Patrick. You've had it.
I know. He'll be checking the subscriptions list.
I love it. Sam, how do you, I mean, you've just dropped in the lovely news about you're expecting your first baby. When are you due, the two of you?
In 5 weeks.
Oh, okay. You may have said that, but I'd missed that. No, wow. No, okay. So, I mean, we were going to just simply ask, how does Sam switch off? But I'm actually now going to ask, how are you feeling about the prospect of business? Is it motivating you more? Is it terrifying you more, combined with a newborn?
Yeah, I think it's a healthy combination of the both. So no, it is. It's definitely, scary. I mean, it's my first, and obviously doing that whilst trying to grow a business is going to be challenging. But it is. You are right. It is also it's a really big motivator for me as well. So it's a cool time, I think. So hopefully to add a bit of complexity to it, I think we're also potentially moving house next month as well. So you might as well do all three of the most stressful things it's possible to do in life. But
painting the nursery and all of that stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So no, I'll get my colouring brushes out, and hopefully we'll get it done pretty quick. So
things may change, but how does Sam normally switch off in terms of staying focused? When I say switching off, I always say switching off is a funny one, because you need to switch off and mentally switch off, but also that helps serve to keep you more focused and give you more energy to put back into the business. So what are your sort of top tips for that, and what do you do, Sam?
The two things I love doing to refresh. So the primary one is going and doing a bit of exercise, whether that's taking the dog out for a run, or going on my bike, or going to the gym, or going bouldering. Just do something that is a bit physical and raises my heart rate a little bit. Anything like that is always really, really good. I love open water swimming when I can in the summer. Fantastic way just to go and focus on a task that doesn't, that's just the only goal is to get from A to B, or to do whatever, just to kind of, relieve the cognitive load, as it were. And then the other thing, the happiest moment you will find me quite often in a week is around about 6 o'clock on a Friday night, when I can start cooking something, and put dance anthems on a Radio 1, and maybe have a beer or a glass of wine or something, and just cook a pasta dish or something like that. That's very much decompress mode for Sam normally.
I love that, Patrick. That sounds very like you, actually. As soon as it hits 5 o'clock, the beer and food.
The non-alcoholic beer. I wish. Yeah. No, but in fact, both those are like me. If somebody was to ask me that question, I'd probably answer it in the same way. Getting out and about.
We'll need to go and do a run and cook a pasta dish together then.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as you've signed up for his app.
Sorry?
When you've signed up for the app, then maybe we can...
yes, that's it. When I've signed up there. So the second quick fire question, Sam. Dragon's Den or The Apprentice?
Oh, Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den.
Definitely.
Definitely. I think you just learn more about, knowing your numbers. I mean, that's the one thing that stands out. That puts the fear of God into most entrepreneurs, isn't it? When somebody actually... You need to know them, but do you actually know them?
you get a really good grilling, which I think is probably a good thing.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
The thing, and I may be out of date now because I haven't watched The Apprentice for quite a while, but the two things that I thought gave the wrong message in The Apprentice was, one, you have to be quite aggressive and in your face sort of person to succeed at business, was one. And secondly, the business is all about selling a consumer product, which is it isn't. The tasks that were given to the team, they're always do something and then go and sell it. And your success was based on how many you sold. Which there's a lot more to business. Sales teams have to be excellent at that. There's a lot more to business than just being able to go out and sell a product.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I'd love them to do a go and establish a positive company culture task. That never comes up, does it?
Exactly. So, all those soft skills.
If I'm hoping we get you back, Sam, along as we follow you on your journey. But Patrick and I were chatting, and whether we asked you about leadership, culture, people, networking, stakeholder engagement, all those things those other ingredients that you will have to grow and evolve as you grow your business, and we'll definitely come back onto that. But is there somebody? Just a final question. Is there anybody in particular? I mean, you mentioned your mum, and I love the fact that, it's actually quite a common theme that parents, or one or the other or both, are definitely the backbone to many entrepreneurs and people following their dreams. But is there anyone in business or that in particular, or even athletically, that stands out for you, that you aspire or you would turn on their podcast and listen to?
Right now, I don't know whether this is going to sound super cheesy or not, but so David Dunne, my co-founder, right, he's a force of nature.
Okay.
He's exhausting to work with. God, for very good reason. Oh God, he's a pain in the ass. He is, but because of it, things just happen, and you're like,
this sounds like another podcast episode. I think we're going to get you both on.
How the hell have you done that? And so it's just I take heaps of inspiration from him every day. Which is phenomenal. I think that's why we've worked as close as we have for so many years. So outside of that, I read a really good book by a guy called Richard Hinter. It's called Consigliere, and it's about it's about essentially a lot of books are written about be the leader and be the top. And Richard Hinter writes a book about, not everyone is built or designed or should be the very top of the tree. And actually, how do you do a good job of supporting your leader? How do you manage up as well as sideways? And I read that book quite a number of years ago, and actually I think I'm going to start rereading it because it really I was like, I've actually never thought about this before. That's a really smart way to think about it. He worked in the Saatchi & Saatchi marketing company there for quite a while. I think ran it at some stage as well. But just was I've kind of read a lot of the stuff that he's kind of published around that, and I kind of thought, actually, wow, that's a really insightful way to think about about leadership, but not from a point of leadership, but leadership more broadly. And actually, how do you find your place within a company, and how do you find what you're good at, where you should spend your energy, and where you should just support other people to spend their energy because they're a naturally better fit for it. It's just a kind of interesting way to think about it, which really resonated with me, and I quite like some of his stuff.
Thanks for sharing that, Sam.
Sure.
But it's about being excellent in what you do, in whatever you do, in whatever role you have, I think. Correct. As well.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else, Patrick, before we close? I'm conscious of time.
There's always a lot on the list that
I know
we haven't covered, but best that way. No, it's been a fantastic 45 minutes, 50 minutes with you, Sam. Absolutely fascinating. So thank you very much for your time.
No stress. Thanks for the good questions. It's been great to chat.
Give your wife our best wishes for the coming months, and obviously your lovely mum who inspired you. Give her a call and send her some flowers or something.
I will. She's
got a mention.
She's up this weekend, so I'll take her out for brunch and I'll cook a nice dinner for her. There we go.
There you go. I'll hold you accountable to that. I love it.
I like it.
Sam, best of luck with everything. We're really excited to be part of it, as Patrick said. We have absolutely no doubt of your up and coming. You've been successful to date, and it's only going to grow. It sounds like you've got a great partnership with David and your other founders and everyone else involved in your business. But also that's down to you being the person that you are. So congratulate yourself as well on everything you've achieved to date. And here's to the next few years, and excited to see where it leads.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, no, it's been great. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.